the coaching searches and the way that they operate. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And a lot of ADs are working the back channels. Everybody understands that. They're calling agents, they're calling friends. I mean, they work this way. So the coach has plausible deniability, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I woke up and all of a sudden 24 hours I slept on it. I'm the head coach somewhere else. Like it's crazy. With Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly said, both of these guys are working channels, back channels for different universities, trying to get out. And that's fine. I get it. I understand how it works. But those schools didn't have coaches. They'd already moved on. Ed Orgeron was finishing the season. They had gotten rid of their coach in USC, Mike Heldon, a while back before that. So they had moved on already and those positions were open. And so everybody expects the coach to do that because the coach is kind of like the child in the situation. They're lobbying to get the best position they can, most prestige, most money, whatever it is, all those things wrapped up into one. That's what the coach ultimately wants. But you expect more from your university because it's an entity. There's some accountability there. The entity is going to exist far long after the coach has been done coaching. So Manny Diaz, love him or hate him, is the Miami coach of the Florida Hurricanes. At least he was. It just came down, it came down fairly recently on Monday that he was fired. However, they didn't have an AD. And so the boosters, I guess, were kind of trying to basically run this. Brett McMurphy had a tweet about it. A number of people would put out there that, everybody thinks they're in charge. So no one's really in charge. And this whole coaching search, it's an absolute disaster. Okay. And I kind of agreed with that. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? Did they want Mario Cristobal last year and they never got him? That's fine. Fire Manny Diaz and go after Mario Cristobal. No, what Miami chose to do is Manny Diaz is out on the road recruiting. And you want to talk about cutting your legs out. I mean, we were beating up Brian Kelly because he had assistant coaches out there recruiting for Notre Dame. And then they find out he's taken the LSU job. It's like, how could you not tell those guys? Whatever. But you're a university. You're sending overtures and basically offering a contract to Mario Cristobal that he had, with a timestamp on it, that he had so much time left before the duration before it would expire that he could accept it for a big dollar amount. And you have that while you have your head coach. And it was reported, well, if Mario Cristobal didn't just accept it, that, we're just going to move on and we're going to leave Manny Diaz as our head coach. And that's just the way that we were going to proceed. And I sit there and I hear that. I'm like, is this really where we are in society? I expect that out of college coaches. I expect them to be flirting around and looking at other stuff and, talking to other schools as they're a head coach. But I don't expect that from a university to offer somebody a position with a contract that's already filled by the current head coach. You haven't even had the gall to fire him. And you know what? If they don't take the job, yeah, we'll roll another year with you, Manny, because then we don't want to pay the buyout. And there's really nobody else out there that we want. Either A, fire the coach, go all in and try to hire your desired coach, or B, don't do it. Those are the options. It's not, hey, flirt here. I'm going to offer you a deal. If you turn it down, then we're going to keep Coach A. Either you like your coach or you don't. Either you want a new coach or you don't. And if you know the guy that you want, fire your coach and go try to get him. If you can't get him, well, that's more of an indictment on your university and maybe what you have to offer and your financial wherewithal and ability to pay. But the way Miami did it, I'm not going to defend college coaches all that often, but that was absolutely embarrassing. And Manny Diaz, he deserves more respect than that. He's a Miami guy. He's done the best he can by that university. Maybe he hasn't had the success that you want, and this year was disappointing, and I get it. But he deserves better than having someone else sit there and basically, your partner in work to be out there courting someone else for your job while you still have it. He deserved better than that. So on the other hand, we got Brent Venables. Looked like he's iced up here at Oklahoma. Everybody appears to love this hire. All the alumni that I've spoken to in Oklahoma, they're passionate about it. The media likes it. I think the fans like it. BV, as they call him, coming back home to the Sooner State, left in 2011 and has been wildly successful at Clemson. Highest paid defensive coordinator, assistant in college football, and he was probably worth every penny. Their defense this year was dragging Clemson along because they've been good each and every year. He's a brilliant mind. Now we'll see what he can do as a head coach. And if you're Brent Venables, this was probably now or never. You've been an assistant for so long. You've been waiting for the right job. If this isn't it, I'm not sure exactly what would have been. But there's a lot of people that are really fired up. Oklahoma gets their guy after getting left by Lincoln Riley. And so now the onus is going to be pushed on Brent Venables. Big dog, you got to figure this thing out recruiting wise. You got to figure out what's going on in the portal. We got to try to salvage our roster and get this thing going in a hurry. So he's going to have a lot falling on his plate. Took a little bit longer. He was the clear candidate or obvious candidate, the front runner for so long that people began to wonder, was there someone else? Were there overtures being made? They said Matt Campbell was out of it. Could Luke Fickell have been in the mix? Who knows? But when the obvious guy, you don't see that tie up right away, and a guy who was going to have interest, Brent Venables was going to have interest. And it took a little bit longer than people were like. There was some nerves, I think, out there for Boomer Sooner, but they were able to get that done and get that locked up. And speaking of Boomer Sooner, I don't know if Lincoln Riley's going to leave his dogs behind for Brent Venables or not, who coincidentally are named Boomer and are named Sooner. So we'll see ultimately what happens with that as I joke a little bit and digress from the story.